All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to talk about one of the weirdest, most frustrating feelings when it comes to money. You know, the one where you work so hard to save, and somehow you end up feeling more stressed out, not less. Today, we're breaking down what's called the $20,000 rule and why that emergency fund you built might not be giving you any peace of mind at all. I mean, does this hit a little too close to home? You finally hit that first big savings goal, 5 grand, and instead of feeling relief, you're just hit with this wave of dread. This feeling is exactly what we're digging into today. It's that crazy moment where the thing that's supposed to be the solution kind of feels like it's part of the problem. So that's the big question, right? Why does having a safety net feel so unsafe? You did the responsible thing. You built a cushion. So why does it feel like you're just bracing for impact? Well, it's a paradox. And it turns out there's a real biological reason for it. And this feeling, it's so common, it actually has a name. We can call it the savings anxiety paradox. This isn't just you being weird about money. It's a specific, totally predictable response your brain has when you reach a certain level of savings. And this is where the gap is, isn't it? The expectation is, okay, I've got $5,000 saved. I should have peace of mind, a sense of security. But the reality for so many of us is just constant worry, even full-blown financial panic. Suddenly, you're not thinking if an emergency happens, you're thinking when. So here's the absolute heart of it. Having just enough money to cover one single disaster makes you hyper-aware of every potential disaster out there. That small pile of savings doesn't feel like a shield anymore. It feels like a target. And that, right there, is the emergency fund paradox. So why on earth does our brain do this to us? Well, turns out it's not a flaw in your personality, it's actually a feature of your biology. Let's get into the actual neuroscience behind all this financial fear. Okay, so let's meet the main character in this whole drama, your amygdala. Just think of it as your brain's ancient, hardwired smoke detector. Its only job is to scream fire whenever it senses danger. But here's the catch. When your savings are kinda low, that smoke detector gets super, super sensitive. It starts going off not just for a real fire, but for like a piece of burnt toast. And this sets off a crazy chain reaction. So a small threat pops up. Maybe your car makes a weird noise. Your brain instantly does a quick mental check. How much is in savings? When it sees that number is just enough to cover one big repair, your amygdala just slams the panic button. And boom, you're in survival mode. All strategic, long-term thinking, it's just gone. Okay, so if $5,000 is the anxiety zone, is there a number that actually turns that alarm off? Well, yes, there is. Let's talk about the tipping point where everything finally changes. $20,000. Just let that number sit there for a second, because this figure, it represents a fundamental psychological shift. And what's so crucial to understand is that this isn't really just about the money itself. It's about what this amount of money signals to your brain's ancient threat detector. It's the threshold where your amygdala can finally, take a breath, realizing you can handle not just one crisis, but maybe a second one, or even a third. And when that internal alarm system finally quiets down, something pretty incredible starts to happen. All that mental energy that was wasted on worry, it gets freed up. You shift from a state of constant panic to a state of high performance. This is where your savings stop being a source of anxiety and become what you could call a cognitive performance enhancer. Now really, it's like getting a software update for your brain. With all that background noise of financial panic finally gone, you suddenly have the bandwidth to think long-term, to spot opportunities, and to make strategic moves instead of just constantly reacting. And the result is a total transformation in your mindset. I mean, look at this. Below $20,000, you're pretty much always playing defense, just waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Your world is defined by panic and scarcity. But once you cross that threshold, you finally get to play offense. You can take calculated risks, you can focus on opportunities, you can actually build for the future. Okay, so we've talked about the paradox, the brain science behind it, and that magic tipping point. So let's bring this all home and talk about what this really means for you and your own financial goals. So here are the big takeaways. First, and this is so important, that anxiety you feel, it's not a personal failing. It is a real biological response. Second, the true goal of your emergency fund isn't just about having cash. It's about finally calming down your brain's overactive smoke detector. And that $20,000 figure, it's not just some random number. It's a really powerful target for achieving the mental clarity you need to finally get ahead. Ultimately, this reframes the whole reason we save in the first place. This isn't just about surviving. It's about building a financial foundation that's so stable, your mind is finally free to do its absolute best work, to innovate, to create, and to truly thrive. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. Just take a second and really think about it. If that constant, low-level financial stress just vanished, what would you finally have the mental space to build or to dream about or to create? What could you really achieve?